Joining us today are two of our most viewed guests, and we are bringing them together to discuss workforce development in 2025. Tom Wire is a NETA 4, NICET 3 who started in the industry via his time in Army Prime Power. In addition to his role in workforce development with Riza Power, Tom is always putting out great educational content and furthering the industry. Thomas Sandri, and he goes by Tom, but since we have two Toms, we're going to refer to Tom Sandri as Thomas Sandri today, is a staple in the industry as well, having held a variety of technical positions prior to assuming his role as Director of Workforce Development for Vector Power. I can think of no two people better to have this discussion than Tom squared. It was a blast getting to see both of you in person at Power Test this year. Tom Wire, tell everyone a bit about what you've been up to lately and give us your take on the current state of workforce development.
So at RISA, we've just been building out our training department. We've recoined it as OPEX. We'll see how that goes. It's definitely enlightening to see the different. But we have so many different offices across, and some of them are they do transformer services and they don't go out to the field. Some go out to the field. Some do shop only work, and then they've got a multitude of experience across those. So it's a delightful challenge to try to tackle that as far as bringing everyone up to speed. In the industry, though, I mean, that's part of the reason why I like to do a lot of my videos is to try to help out as much as I can and better the industry as a whole, because a lot of people nowadays are moving away from wanting to read books, and things like that. So if they can watch a 60-second clip, which I'm trying to do my best to shorten some of mine, I might remake some of mine and shorten them. But that's I think that the industry as a whole, we've gotten away from doing the books and the theory training, and we need to dive back into that, because now I personally think that the last great resource that most trades have for training is like military training, because the military is the only one now that thoroughly invests and will train you from a high school education straight into performing your job as a full career. And it's the only one really that'll do that. And apprenticeship programs are great too, but they're not as prevalent as programs like the militaries are. So that's my kind of thoughts on it. What do you think?
I would definitely say, from what I'm seeing from the recruiting perspective, we're seeing an uptick in the workforce development trend with a lot more efforts. Again, talking with you and talking with Thomas about this kind of stuff and seeing the other efforts in the workforce, we're definitely seeing more efforts being put into developing the workforce, and I think it's mainly a supply and demand issue. There's simply too much work and not enough technicians. And so how do you fix it? You either grow them organically, or we play the game that recruiters are famous for, and that's poach your talent, right? And so that's only tenable for so long. I think the pay rates start going up to where it starts eating into the margins pretty substantially. And that's kind of the where we're sitting right now in the current, I think we're starting to see the pay bands are starting to kind of level off a little bit, but we're all still seeing the massive migration of talent from company to company. And I don't think that changes unless we solve the workforce development problem. Yeah. Thomas, what are you seeing out in the realm and world of workforce right now?
It's rather interesting because I've been involved with workforce development now many a year. And this is actually now, I say, my third significant ordeal where revamping or modifying approach to corporate level training. Each time is a little bit of a learning curve. Each time is a little bit of adaptation to the culture of the company as well. But just to touch base on Tom's point, and I think he really nailed. With today's generation, it is a different approach. Again, I kind of go back to my days of learning, and a lot of it was reading assignments. You went to a thing called a library. You got resource material, reference material. You looked this stuff up. In some cases, you approach the manufacturer, ask them to mail you a copy of their manual, and you read it from cover to cover. And it's kind of interesting because, Tom also mentioned about, his influencer life as whether it be on LinkedIn or on YouTube. And by the way, Tom, really good content. I love your little 60-second segments and everything. But I started using the YouTube platform years and years ago, not because I necessarily wanted to be an influencer, not because I wanted to go ahead and get monetized so that I can afford those chicken nuggets at McDonald's, which maybe someday I might actually get enough viewers that I could get those chicken nuggets. But what I learned very quickly with a lot of our younger staff was, in trainings and everything, where I would ask like questions like, where do you go to get information? YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. So I kind of got to the point where, if this is how I need to reach you, and get that content in your hands, then that's the platform I'm going to use. And we're seeing it a lot evolving between virtual classrooms, styles like we're doing right here, except on a bigger scale, e-learning, self-paced courses, YouTube influence, and so forth. There is a fancy term for the new generation as it relates to technology. I just call them the computer kids.
Tech savvy.
Tech savvy. Like, just because I went ahead and got my son to teach me how to program that VCR, you be respectful, young man.
Freaking Tom Wire.
Man, most people don't even know what a VCR is anymore.
Well, and I think it's really good because we do get a little bit of a spread, right? So Tom Wire's a little bit younger, Thomas a little bit older than I am, and I'm right in the middle of you old geezers. So it kind of plays out well to that aspect. But to your point, I'm definitely seeing a lot more of the micro learning. And Thomas, I know that you and I talked about that at nauseam in our last one. But I think it's still even becoming more relevant now because of the attention deficit disorder of society, if you will, right? So it's gotta be. It almost seems like it has to be in these micro chunks. And like we put out the content as well as typically 7 to 8 minutes. I oftentimes don't see that perform as good as the 30-second to 60-second, even though the subject matter is still very relevant to the topic and things like that. So maybe I need to start breaking it into smaller chunks to that